Hi, I'm Chrissy from Hutzel House of Music. Thank you so much for joining the music crew here in the Music Crew Collaborative for our first ever virtual music education conference. We hope that you get lots of new ideas that you can use in your classroom this year, whether that be online or face-to-face with your students. My session is called Playful Recorder Playing, and I'm going to give you lots of new ideas of things you can do to bring joy to recorder playing and learning in your classroom. My students play recorder in third grade all the way through sixth grade, so some of these ideas are going to work well for your younger students and for your older students. We are going to keep the conversation going in the Music Crew Collaborative, so please feel free to ask your questions and I will answer them as quickly as I can. Enjoy! Hi, this is Chrissy Hutzel from Hutzel House of Music. Thank you so much for tuning in for Playful Recorder Playing at this year's virtual conference from the TPT Music Crew. During this session, we will cover playful routines for classroom management, motivating techniques for student engagement, and songs and activities for playful recorder playing. I'm lucky that in my district, all students are issued a recorder in third grade that they use through sixth grade. They each have their own and they bring it with them to class each time we have music. Whether your students bring their own recorders with them to the classroom or have to grab their instruments from a designated spot within your classroom, it's important that they understand the routines and expectations. If kids come in and start playing their instruments out of turn, you're not setting yourself up for success to have a well-managed classroom. If you're already dealing with behavior issues before the lesson has even begun, you're taking the fun and playfulness out of it. If the students understand the expectations, you're much more likely to have a smooth flow to your lesson. When it's time to start the recorder portion of our lesson, I like to begin by counting to 3 for the students to take out their recorders. I do this in different languages. This makes it more interesting and fun for the kids, and it also gives me a way to give representation to the diversity in my classroom. I've had students volunteer to count in languages that I didn't know how to count to 3 in, and it gives them a sense of pride to have that moment where they're the ones who know something that even the teacher didn't know. After I count to 3, we take our instruments out and get ready for the recorder wrap. The recorder wrap was given to me by my former colleague, Vicki Lotz, who learned it at a clinic. I do not know who was the original source of this, but it is something that has been very useful in my classroom. When we are ready to start the recorder wrap, I tell my students to assume the position. They immediately slouch over and give the worst posture imaginable. They love to play this up and stretch their bodies out across the risers that we sit on and lay down. We probably won't be able to get into such dramatic form this year due to social distancing, but they still will enjoy getting into a super slouched position before we start. The reason we go into the slouched position is to prepare our bodies to act out the words of the recorder rap. As we say each part of the rap, we act what we are saying and help to solidify the thought of what's being said into the student's mind before beginning to play. We sing the recorder rap like this. My feet are on the floor and my back is straight. My instrument is ready and I'm looking great. Left hand at the top and right hand below. I'll tongue each note, whether fast or slow. Warm air, gentle air, that's the way. Cover holes tightly and now let's play. At this point, the students are sitting up with good posture, their hands are in the correct position on their recorders, and their eyes are on me. I start to do some simple recorder echoes, just one measure phrases, using the notes that the students have already learned to warm ourselves up and get ready for the rest of the lesson. As teachers, we all know that students thrive on routine. It's important to let them know what's coming up and be able to predict what's going to be happening next. When we follow a predictable procedure in learning how to read and play a new song, it helps put the students at ease. The procedure that I use is shown on the screen. The first thing we do when we learn a new song is clap the rhythms. After we've practiced that, we would say the note names using a speaking voice, and then go back and sing the note names using our singing voice. Our fourth step is chingering. Chingering is combining three different things. We put our recorder on our chin, put our fingers over the holes on the instrument to show the notes that we'd be playing, and we sing the letter names. Finally, we can play the song. Throughout this procedure, I also like to differentiate and give students the opportunity, if they feel ready, to move on and kind of incorporate the next step as we're working on something. For example, when we get to the part where it's singing the note names, I invite my students to chinger if they feel ready. So some of the students will be using the singing voice and just focusing on the note names, but other more advanced students can do their fingers while they're singing as well. This helps to keep the students engaged, and I find that a lot of them challenge themselves to do the chingering earlier because they want to be on the front edge of what's happening in class. When we finally have gotten through chingering and I say, what's the next step? They gleefully join in and say, play the song, with excitement because they are ready and they know what's coming next. Learning to play a musical instrument is not easy. And when I have my students playing recorder from third grade all the way through sixth grade, then I know that I need to do something to motivate them to want to keep working. What I have found that works really well in my classroom is beads. We use the Parapole Angel recorder in my classroom and across my district, and I've used little plastic pony beads to help mark student progress. I have one set of beads for leveled playing challenges, such as using a system like Recorder Karate, where each color is set to a certain skill or song that they're testing on. I also have a mixed box of beads that I call the choice beads. The choice beads are for any other playing test. So when I first give the students their recorders, we get a choice bead very quickly for doing a simple test on being able to play and make a gentle sound using their air correctly. So the choice beads are a great way to motivate small victories along the way. But they also work for my older kids. All the way up to sixth grade, the kids are playing recorder. And I like to use the choice beads as a motivator for those kids too. One example of this is when we learn how to play the C major scale. For their test, they have to perform it at a tempo of 80 beats per minute, but they get the choice of playing whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, or eighth notes. If they play whole notes, they get 1 bead. If they play half notes, they get 2 beads. If they play quarter notes, they get 4 beads. And if they go for eighth notes, they can earn 8 beads. And would you believe it? My big old sixth graders all want to get 8 beads. And so they all try to attempt for the eighth note challenge for that choice bead challenge. Finally, we have star beads. These beads are in the shape of a star, and they're given to students when they do a performance using the recorder. So now that we've covered our classroom management and our motivating technique, let's take a look at some songs that are fun to play playfully. Our first song, Hop Old Squirrel, is great for beginners and it uses the notes B, A, and G. This resource is available in my store, Hutzel House of Music, on Teachers Pay Teachers, and it's on sale 25% off during our virtual conference, July 11th through 13th, 2020. I love this for my third graders, their first year playing recorder, because it's a way to get them out of their seats and moving, playing, and singing all within the same activity. First, we sing the song. Hop, old squirrel, idle dum, hop, old squirrel, idle dum dee. Hop, old squirrel, idle dum, hop, old squirrel, idle dum dee. Once my students are familiar with the song, we start to move with it. I put up a screen that shows the movement word in a bold color to catch their attention, and we do 1 hop every time we sing the word hop. Next, we insert different words instead of hop. In this resource in my store, there is 2 different versions of this slide. One that shows like it is on the screen with examples of words filled in for eighth notes and for quarter notes, and another one that just shows the eighth note and quarter notes, and the students can supply their own words. So that is something that I leave up to you to choose for what works best in your classroom. As we come up with the different words, then students insert that word and do that action in the space of the song. So we sing and move again, but using the different words that they supply. Once they've gotten to do some moving and singing, we sit down and we start to work on the song on recorder. We go through all of the 5 steps that we've already done, and since they've been singing the song, it tends to come a little bit quicker under their fingers on the recorder. When it's time to put that together, we divide up into 2 groups. One group stands still and plays the song on the recorder, while the other group sings the words and does the actions. Then we switch and take turns. The final activity that I like to add to Hop Old Squirrel is a B section. This resource comes with an original poem that I wrote about squirrels. We use the poem as a B section, and during the B section, we switch which group is singing and which group is playing. The kids love this activity, and it is so much fun. I got observed with this activity with a brand new principal, and she was blown away by everything that was happening in my classroom. The next 2 songs are songs that I do with my 4th graders. This is their 2nd year playing, and the first additional note that we add to their repertoire is E. So these songs both include the note E. One of my students' favorite activities to do in the month of October is the song Skin and Bones. I do this each year with all of my students in kindergarten through 6th grade, and they always beg to do it again. I'd like to give a shout out to my friend Kelly at Rhythmically Yours. Her resource for Skin and Bones has beautiful artwork that just sets the tone beautifully for this song, and I think is part of the reason that the kids love it so much. Before we begin using the recorder on this song, I let the students do it the way they've done it in the past, with me singing the call and the students singing the response. They love to play a game where we lay on the floor and pretend to be zombies coming back to life during the response part. So I let them do that because we love having fun in the music room. Then we get out our recorders and we change things up a little bit. The first way I change it up is to teach the students to play the response on their recorder. You can see the notes that we use on the screen, starting on B, then A, then G, and E. There was an old woman, all skin and bones. The kids love getting to put the recorder to it, and the sound of the recorder really fits well with this melody. Another thing I like to do with Skin and Bones as an extension after we've all played the response is to teach the students to play the call. There are some students who this will be a little bit too advanced for them, but we all learn it together as a group. And then I have volunteers who like to play the call and let the rest of the students play the response. I can have one student play it the entire time, or I can have a line of students who want to play it and they would each take a turn as we go through the song. Another old favorite that comes back to visit in 4th grade with a twist for recorder is the song Doggy Doggy. My kids love playing this when they're younger, and when they hear that they get to play it again, they get all sorts of excited. Of course, we start off by singing the song to remind them of how the melody goes, and then I teach them how to play it on the recorder. After reviewing the song through singing, we learn how to play the response on the recorder. So we go through all of our steps and learn to play. After everyone feels comfortable with that, and it is something that I leave up on the board for them to see while they are playing, we play the game Doggy Doggy in the same way that we did when they were younger. One student will have the bone while another student can't see who's hiding it. They will sing, the student who is the dog will sing, "Who has my bone?" And whoever's hiding will play back, then I let the dog have 3 guesses of who it could be. This helps them work on focusing their listening to certain directions, and they can often figure out who it is by looking at their friends' faces as well. The kids love playing this game, and I love to give my students the opportunity to play a solo in a non-intimidating manner. The rest of the activities that I'll be sharing today are things that I do with my older students in 5th and 6th grade. By the time my students get to fifth and sixth grade, they feel like they are pretty skilled in the area of recorder. They've learned a lot of notes and they feel like they are kind of above recorder playing sometimes. So it's really important at that age to play things and do activities that are engaging for students of this age level. One of the first activities I like to do at the beginning of the year with my fifth graders when we're ready to work on recorder is do a name that tune way of introducing a song. The song I typically use for this activity is Happy Birthday because it includes all of the notes that they've learned through fourth grade. So it serves as a great way to review. And it's also a useful song that they can take their recorder home and play Happy Birthday for somebody at home after we've learned it. To get started, we review the notes and practice them just in a group with some echoes and things, not trying to learn the song. Then I ask for volunteers. I will have a row of 5 students come up and give them each a note that they will play. So as you can see on the screen, I've got an example of what that would look like. The first child would be told that they would be playing the note D and that they would be playing a pair of eighth notes. The next child would be told to play the note E, then a D, then a G, and finally an F sharp. So after going through each of these with each of these kids, the note that they're going to play, then they get the chance to play it. So I will walk down the line and point to each child, and they will play their note. Keep in mind that even though I've told them what rhythmic value to play, I'm not counting them off. I'm not giving them a tempo. I'm just pointing to them when it's their turn to play. So it typically sounds something like this. Wait. I'm like, at this point, I stop and turn around to the rest of the class and ask if anyone can name that tune. And typically, no one can. It takes a few tries before someone says, "Wait, I think I got it. It's Mary Had a Little Lamb." No, no, friend, it is not Mary Had a Little Lamb. And we try again, and eventually they do figure it out. Sometimes the kids ask if they can sit back down, and I let them. I don't force them to stay back up there, and we'll swap different kids out to play the different notes. But eventually they do figure out that it is Happy Birthday, and we start. That's when I pass out their sheet music and put the whole song up on the board, and we begin to work on it together as a group. At this point, they've heard me say the notes several times, and so it again becomes a little bit easier for them to put it under their fingers on the recorder because they've been exposed to how it's going to sound and how it will be played multiple times before they start trying themselves. Another activity that I like to do with my older students is melodic dictation. We do this activity together as a class on prior songs, so they already know how to do it before I present it to them as a center. When it is set up in a center, I have several copies of this available so students in each small group can choose whether they want to work by themselves or with a partner. This gives them ownership over their learning and helps set them up for success. My students enjoy taking the time to think about how the music will sound and guessing if the notes are higher or lower, and then testing their theory using their recorder. This is promoting higher order thinking skills, something that we know that we need to be providing for our students in the music classroom. This Twinkle Twinkle Little Star activity for recorder is available in my store, Hutzel House of Music, on Teachers Pay Teachers. It comes with 2 sizes. One is the 11 by 17 paper that you see here. It has to be that big in order for the little erasers to fit on the staff lines. But it also comes with an 8.5 by 11 standard size worksheet that kids can use to transfer the information after they've figured out the melody, or this coming year may need to just go ahead and do the activity on paper with pencil without doing any shared materials. As I mentioned earlier, one of the skills that my sixth graders are tested on for recorder is the C major scale. The notes C and F natural are new to them in sixth grade, and I like to introduce it in a fun way by using a cootie catcher. This is something that we fill out together. We review the notes, they look at this and find notes that they already know, and we fill them in. And then they find the two notes they haven't learned yet, C and F natural. I teach them how to play those. We fill in the information. On the cootie catcher, there is a printed note in music notation that they have to read. They write the letter on the line, and then there's a fingering diagram for a recorder where they fill in the appropriate circles to show how you would play the note. After we have the cootie catchers filled out, we cut them out and I teach them how to fold them into the origami shape of the cootie catcher. This used to be a much harder task, but with the technology in my room today, I am so grateful to have an overhead document camera. I'm able to use that to walk the students through step by step how to fold their cootie catcher. Some of them still need some help getting that folded just right, but a lot of times there are some kids in the class who already know how to do this and are happy to help their friends get it figured out. Once we've got the cootie catchers filled out and folded, the students break up into groups of 2 or 3 and use them to quiz each other. As they look at the notes, they are required to say the letter name and show the fingering and then play the note. And then we open up the flap and see if they are correct. The sixth graders are social creatures. They love to have time where they can be working more independently. And this is one of the few times in music class where they are able to use that time and work together in small groups, practicing and learning in a fun way. So that concludes what I had to share with you today. We were able to cover playful routines for classroom management, motivating techniques for student engagement, and I gave you several ideas of songs and activities for playful recorder playing for students as young as 3rd grade and all the way up through 6th. I hope that this has been helpful for you and that you've come up with some new ideas that you can use in your classroom this fall and beyond. As I previously mentioned, my store is set on sale during our virtual conference. My entire store is on sale 20% off, but all of my recorder resources have been marked down 25% on July 11th through 13th, 2020, during the Music Cruise virtual conference. I hope that you will hop over to Teachers Pay Teachers and check me out at Hutzel House of Music. I'm also available in the Music Crew Collaborative to answer any questions that you may have. I'm always checking my email if you have other questions, so please feel free to reach out. What fun is a conference without an exhibit hall? Come on over to our virtual exhibit hall where you can see our virtual booth and check out resources that have been categorized by different subjects. Just click to shop. I hope you've enjoyed this session, and I would like to give a big shout out to my friends at the Music Crew for working together and putting this together for everybody, as well as to Artifacts for the use of the clip art with the students holding their recorders, to Kimberly Guesswine Fonts for the use of fonts in this, and to Kelly Parrish at Rhythmically Yours for the product Skin and Bones.